Okay, we're back. Had a little bit of an issue getting the first video uploaded. It took me 4 tries. It's 2 tries with Blackboard, then YouTube. Who had to get its turn in, but the first video is uploaded and linked. Obviously, there if you found this one, and you should have found the other one. So now let's look at page 242. We're going to talk about viruses. Okay, and a virus, they're kind of weird. We study them in biology because they affect living things. They are made up of a lot of the same things that living things are made of, but they're not really alive. And the reason we say that there is that they don't meet all the requirements. They don't carry out cellular respiration in any form, either aerobic or anaerobic. They don't do that. They don't grow there. They do reproduce. It's there, but they can't reproduce of their own accord. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. They don't really respond to stimuli. And they're just weird. What a virus is, you can see some electron micrographs. That's there on page 242. I'm sure we've all seen, the COVID virus picture floating around enough. We all know what a virus looks like by now, at least that particular one. And what a virus is it is a strand of either DNA or RNA. Okay, not both, one or the other. It's going to be either DNA or RNA. And that is going to be encased in what your book refers to as a viral envelope. Up here, a lot of times you'll hear it called a capsid, C-A-P-S-I-D. And that's pretty much it. Okay. And what happens with a virus, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Let's look on 243. Is the virus will literally take over a cell, a whole cell, and will turn that cell into a factory for making more viruses. What happens is that it will work its way into the DNA of that cell, and the ribosomes of that cell, once it's been taken over, will start to reproduce the virus. And basically 2 pathways that it talks about there. And a lot of books refer to as the lytic cycle or the lysogenic cycle. These are, in your book here, they're referred to as the lytic pathways or the lysogenic pathway. Okay. And what happened? And so they both have the same end result: is that the cell gets taken over. It's going to be used to manufacture many viruses, and then that cell's going to rupture and send out more viruses. Okay, and guys, as you have to understand too, viruses, these are ridiculously tiny. If a cell, here, the size of a cell was, say, a dime size, then a virus would be about the size of just taking a pencil and just making a little tiny dot right there. Okay, so viruses, they're ridiculously small. You could, if the entire population of the United States were the size of a virus, we could all fit on the head of a pen with plenty of room left over. So, ridiculously small. Okay, so your lytic pathway, or your lytic cycle. Okay, virus is going to get inside of a cell. It's going to evade the body's natural defenses. It's going to get inside the cell. It is going to then work its way into the nucleus. It's going to take over the nucleus. It's going to start getting transcribed. And there it's going to be used by the ribosomes, make more viruses. Okay, that's basically the brute force approach, the lytic cycle or the lytic pathway. Your lysogenic cycle or pathway is the more the stealth approach. And what happens there is that virus is going to work its way in just like it would before, or there with the lytic pathway. It's going to work its way into the cell's DNA, but it's not going to rupture the cell right away this time. It's not going to cause lysis, hence the word lytic cycle or lysogenic. the cell's going to reproduce. Now you got two copies there, one in this cell, one in this cell. They're all going to kind of go on. They're going to reproduce, they're going to reproduce, they're going to reproduce until eventually what happens is that enough of your cells have been taken over by the virus is there, and the whole time you're not showing any symptoms either. And what's going to happen, and that is that once the threshold is reached, enough proteins are carried out up there, and those cells are sending out on hormones saying it's time. And at that point, it's going to enter the Leydig cycle there, or just like you see on the diagram on 243. Okay? So that's a virus. That's how they work. Want you guys to understand, too, you see there, going back to 242, the bacteriophages. These are, I don't have a picture of this one here. These are, they've got the big crown up at the top here, they've got a long, thin body, and then they've got the little legs down here. That is a bacteriophage. And that is a virus that infects bacteria. Okay? They do not infect humans. They are non-lethal to humans. In fact, a lot of your former Soviet bloc countries, for whatever reason, instead of using antibiotics to treat bacterial infections, they will actually give you an injection of bacteriophages. And those bacteriophages will take out the virus, they'll take out the bacteria that way. Okay, so, it's kind of interesting there. Okay, computer just spazzed out for a second there. Okay, and let's see. Okay, it talks about disease vectors. That's just any organism that transmits a disease to some other organism. Okay. Some viruses have a beneficial effect on human health. Okay, bacteriophages can be used in medicine. Some of them occur naturally. Okay, some of them can be used for gene therapy. Okay, a lot of them, though, again, they're pathogens. They'll give you a disease. Okay, like the current situation there. And of course, your book talks about some particularly nasty ones here. Your HIV, the particularly nasty one because it attacks the T4 lymphocyte, which is a certain type of white blood cell. Okay, in other words, it's attacking the very cells that are meant to defend us from infection. So it's a particularly nasty virus there. And HIV is what we call a retrovirus. Okay, what happens is that has, instead of having DNA, it's got RNA, and that RNA is going to be used as a template to make DNA, so it's backwards. Okay, it's a retrovirus. Okay, and there's Ebola. Okay, we had an outbreak of that a few years back, and very nasty disease was there. Basically, you bleed to death out of every pore or orifice. It's a terrible, terrible disease. Okay, book talks about the new flus. About every 10 to 15 years or so, you'll get a new, particularly virulent strain of the flu, or a particularly deadly strain of the flu. And a lot of that's caused by either mutation or swapping genes between related viruses that are simultaneously infecting a host at the same time. Okay, so a lot of these new things come about. It's possibly how the coronavirus came about. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really read up on that. But, mutations, viral or reassortment there, that's how you get at the particularly bad ones, including the current one. Okay. Now, people here, human beings, whatever, are there. They are going and have a new strain comes along. What's eventually going to happen is you're going to have the concept of herd immunity. Okay, you may have heard that phrase tossed around in the last few weeks. And what happens with herd immunity is that enough of a population, either through exposure or hopefully through vaccination, okay, we'll talk about vaccination here in a minute, I have a whole rant on that, but hopefully through, whatever means, herd immunity is going to come along. What that means is that enough members of a population have the immunity that it's really not going to be an issue anymore. Enough of them are going to be immune that their virus is not going to find a suitable host, and it's not going to be able to get a foothold anywhere or to infect enough individuals to be viable. Okay, the coronavirus, as I'm sure you guys heard, it can live up to between 1 to 3 days on surfaces and whatever are there. So between that and the incubation period are there right now. That's where they're saying stay home because it's brand new. It's a novel coronavirus. Okay, so no one's immune to it. Okay, so what's happening there is that you go out among people, the virus is just able to hop from place to place with no issue. That's a bad thing. Okay, so stay home if you're not already doing that. Okay, now eventually enough people are going to be exposed to this coronavirus. Okay, hopefully after this peak hit, it's there, or keep saying that there's going to be a peak, and they keep pushing back when they think it's going to be. So who knows? Just stay calm with that. But what's going to happen there is eventually enough people are going to be exposed to it that virus is not going to be able to be passed on. Okay. Now, that kind of leads us into our last thing for this week. Okay, vaccination. Okay. Vaccination, guys, it is not just about the person getting the vaccine. Okay. Now, we've all, you should have all heard the stories of previous epidemics. Okay, polio back in the 1920s to about the 1940s. Okay, you'd go to bed with the symptoms of a common cold. Maybe you go to bed coughing or whatever, and you'd wake up not able to move. You'd be paralyzed. A lot of people spent, 30, 40 years in iron lungs because of polio. The theory of what would happen is you would have a membrane that would form across your throat. You'd suffocate. Any number of other diseases, pertussis, nasty whooping cough there. All these things there are, guys, not only does the vaccine keep you from getting it, you get that shot, and listen, you don't die from the unsterilized needle that I just used, you are going to be immune in a couple of weeks. Okay. Eventually, there will be a vaccine for the coronavirus. Now, when that will be remains to be seen, but it's going to happen. So, you take that, not only will you be safe, not everyone can take the vaccine, people. Okay. There are some people out there that are immunocompromised. Their immune systems can't handle even a vaccine, which is typically a weakened or killed version of either the virus or whatever it is you're dealing with. Generally a virus. Okay, so they can't take that. Okay, or they've got some other condition. Okay, their immune system's out of whack. Maybe they've got cancer. Maybe they've got who knows what. There are reasons why people can't take them. Those are legitimate medical reasons. Okay? Now, this is one of my infuriating things here. Okay? People have died from preventable illness. People are continuing to die of preventable illness. You're starting to get measles coming back because of these people that they saw of a video on YouTube, or they read it in some mom group or whatever. They're ignoring science. And they think that the opinion of Joe Schmo, the idiot over here, has the same amounts of validity as epidemiologists, virologists, medical doctors, medical scientists, anyone you want to name. And guys, again, I said this the first week of class here. At some point, the idea that the internet would give us all an equal voice became conflated with the idea that everyone's voice is equal and everyone's opinion is equal. And that is just not true. Okay? You listen to the people that have done the research. you go and you vaccinate your damn kids. Okay? And that is my rant on that. Okay? I'll get this video posted at here. And hopefully, you guys, that should cover anything. If you have any questions or concerns, just call or email or text. Probably text. If you're going to use it as a phone for it. But there. I don't answer numbers that I don't recognize. And so, just send a text, say who you are, and I'll get with you. And look forward to our next online meeting. Okay? You guys stay safe, stay clean, wash your hands, and stay home. Have a good day.